Well, the UK is part of this genocide and it still supplies parts for the planes, etc., which bomb and kill people in Gaza.
The UK is a part of this genocide in many ways. Firstly, arms supply. Secondly, implicit silence from the people. Thirdly, complicity from the politicians and their unwillingness to support the Palestinian state and their willingness to support the Zionist state, which is terrorism.
And also, Britain has many traditions. Britain has a terrible tradition of colonialisation. But Britain also has a great tradition of humanitarianism, of actually standing up for justice and peace where there is none. And I think we're part of that tradition. We're standing up for things that need to be said. We need to speak truth to power. And we need to stand up to people who are bombarded by a horror show of slaughter, murder, not killings, murder, of innocent people, innocent children, innocent families. And we need to stand up against this sort of tyranny that different governments feel it's okay to do as long as it benefits them in some sort of geopolitical way.
I've seen some horrific things and it just reminds me of slavery. What's happened before is happening now. So that's what...
Is hip-hop cancer or culture? Half of hip-hop history, our children have been indoctrinated with musical content that's sexually Is hip-hop cancer or culture? Half of hip-hop history, our children have been indoctrinated with musical content that sexually objectifies and denigrates black women, that pushes European materialism and conspicuous consumption, that glamorizes, glorifies, and promotes black-on-black crime, mass incarceration, and that has painted a public image of black men that has helped society, government, police, and white power structure to destroy not only the image, but the lives of black men. Anything that is against the best interests of black people needs to be redeemed or destroyed. Fix hip-hop. Make it what it should be or throw it into the ash can of African history.
Shut up, just shut up, shut up, 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 just shut up, shut up, shut up, just shut up, shut up, shut up, just shut up, shut up.
Hey, are you guys with ice? Huh? Are you guys with ice? Ice?
Yeah.
What's ice?
What do you mean what's ice? I just saw you arrest someone.
Arrest nobody.
No? That guy that was in handcuffs?
He's not arrested.
He was so
Not ice.
not ice? Okay, you guys are just like little bounty hunters?
No.
Alright. So what, you guys are just going around handcuffing people? Hey everyone, check him out. Jacob. L Street right here. What are you guys doing?
None of your business. That's
None of my business?
Yeah.
I pay taxes. It's my fucking business.
I pay taxes.
Exactly. Probably not more than me.
I'm really sorry.
Oh yeah? So you work with ICE?
What about what I work with?
Okay.
You
Alright.
just assume I work with ice.
So
And
what?
I don't. You're crazy. I'm not.
I just saw you racial profile that kid. Handcuff him.
So Broadway is terrible. Racial profile. That's good.
That's crazy.
People standing in the Hall of Fame, and the world's gonna know your name, 'cause you burn with the brightest flame.
What were the skies like when you were young?
They went on forever. We lived in Arizona, and the skies always had little fluffy clouds in them, and they were long and clear. And there were lots of stars at night. And when it would rain, it would all turn. They were beautiful, the most beautiful skies, as a matter of fact. The sunsets were purple and red and yellow and on fire, and the clouds would catch the colors everywhere. That's neat, because I used to look at them all the time when I was little.
She was 24.
Buenos dias. It is the 4th of July, and I said that twice because I believe that I don't think you heard me the first time. Good morning, Nigel. Good morning, Sharpie. Well, here we are, eh? Whoever we are, whatever we are, here we are. Let's have a nice, relaxed, effortless morning with the Agendaless Collective. I'm trying to move my windies. That's better. Will I do the customary mornings? Why not, eh? It would be rude not to. The gas on my chair has finally given up the ghost, so that's why I'm a few inches lower than I was before. Gregor McIntosh, we are all Palestine Action. By saying this, does this mean that we all go to jail? Maybe they'll have to give us a what the X cell. We're if we all claim to be Palestine Action. Mick Young, morning Bob, morning to you, Mick Young. Patella Republic, Free Palestine. I'm liking the vibe. Noisy Parker, morning all, and DDTT IDF. Now, what could that possibly mean, boys and girls? What do you think? What do you think those combination of letters mean? DDTTIDF. Sounds like some sort of Nuevo rave band. DDTTIDF. Tonight on Top of the Pops. DDTTIDF. Morning to you, Matty Ross. I'm not going through your orders a little bit. Morning, Acapella Roots Home, Dave Smith, morning. It's an interesting one, isn't it? A padded cell, says Nige. Powerful video, I think I saw somebody say. Roots Home, thank you. That was the promo video for our for Gutter Blood's latest single, which is available now on their Bandcamp, featuring a certain someone on vocals. But it's a track called 24. Jimmy McRae, good to see you. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you all this morning. I was swithering, if that's the term, on doing a What the X this morning due to other commitments and various other impending problems that need to be dealt with. But I thought, you know what, I'll make the effort. I don't know who for whoever chooses to grace us with their presence. But I thought I'll make the effort, and so that's as much as I've done. From now on in, who knows? But the weekend is upon us. It's been an interesting few days, politically, culturally, an interesting week really, I suppose. So I kind of thought, I was like, well, there's probably a bunch of stuff that we can talk about without me having to go into great depth of like planning or anything, so this is where we are at. With my coffee in hand, my freshly brewed cafe with my discount. I'm such a regular now, I get a discount. Which is quite nice. It's quite nice to be given a discount for anything these days. Even if it's just a coffee. This is, of course, the dubtastic splendour of Scientist. So, let's have a look, shall we? Let's dive right in. In fact, do you know what I should do? Before I forget, I have a habit of forgetting. In general, but especially on What the X. Due to the multitude of distractions that I'm generally confronted with. But I'm going to put a link to the Gutterblood Bandcamp 24 digital single, the brand new track from our fourth. I should probably say this out loud because it is our. I am a collaborative member of Gutterblood, obviously. So I should say this brand new track from our forthcoming album is a fundraiser supporting the disruption of arms supplies to the tyrannical state government of Israel. Please give what you can, and please share this on your socials if at all possible. We would like to raise as much as possible, and every penny will go to support legal costs incurred by the brave folks who put themselves on the line to fight against the ongoing genocide in Palestine. Fundraiser runs until the release of our new album scheduled for September 2025. So I shall share it's here. I'm old, I'm allowed to be slow. Right, I'm popping this into the chat. There you go. This is the link to Gutterblood. There's the link to the new single. I'm going to stick it in the X chat for all those crafty cats peeking behind the curtains. Somebody has just donated to. Thank you very much, Nigel Swift. We're on to 2%. What's 2% of 30 grand? That's what we're trying to raise. I don't care what that is. Somebody will tell me. But that's good. That's sort of accumulative over the last month or so. So well done, everybody. Very much appreciated. So it's been an interesting week, hasn't it? We had the whole hoo-ha of Glastonbury, which I think was really interesting. I've been enjoying. There's a lot of things going on at the minute. We've obviously got a tsunami of racism, which I abhor, and I'd like to think it was more than £6. But if that's all it is, then that's what it is. So Bob Violin, or Villain, which is the collective name for the band apparently. I'm a big fan of Bob Villain. I was really disappointed last year. I think it was. Sorry, not last year or the year before. I think it was last year. My brother-in-law got me tickets to go to. I think it was Oran Moor, and we drove through. It was a really rainy evening. We drove through because we were going to see Bob Violin and Morning Belgium Lascar, morning you. And we drove through and I was so busy. We hadn't realised the gig had been cancelled like the day before or something. So we ended up in the Weech for no reason. But it was a nice afternoon with Evening with Robin, but other than that, we missed them. Anyway, I digress. But I'm a big fan of Bob Vylan, and I thought what Bob Vylan, and obviously I think on my TikTok, I had when the genocide started. Yeah, remember when the genocide started? When the horrors just started to unfold around about that time, and mind when Sleaford Mods made a cunt of it, which isn't the first time they made a cunt of it, is it? But Vylan had called them out on the stage and that, and I seem to remember posting about it at the time, which was like 2000 and back in 2023. It was like November or something. Anyway, I thought that what he said was perfectly reasonable. I think that, in fact, we'll go and look at a clip in a second. We'll get right into it, eh? I might look at this clip on. You got to say, man, there's a lot to be said for good W. It's just like, what's this say? The only good system is a sound system. There's a lot of truth in that, isn't there? Let me just see if I can do this. Right, here it is here. Maybe it's best if I do it this way. Oh, here we go. You just need to bear with me. Just need to bear with me, eh?
Murder of doctors and patients.
So to be...
Right, these two twats. So... I can't stand Owen Jones. I wish they'd just fuck off, to be honest. Not just because he's blocked me, but because I don't think he's much use to any genuine resistance now. He's made a lot of money being a kind of pathetic, confused talking head, and. I think the Palestine thing can be a bit deceptive. I think that just because you apparently have Palestine as a fundamental issue, which it should be, I'm not going to say it shouldn't be. I think there's more interesting people that we could listen to that would be arguing more effectively than Owen Jones. Let's just see what he says here in this exchange with Morgan, who is himself. I mean, let's get something straight. It's worth considering. In the pantomime of, within the parameter fence of the neoliberal culture of what can and cannot be allowed to be broadcast on the mainstream or the quasi-mainstream, there's not a lot of difference between Morgan and Jones here, within the context. I'm sure a smart head like Baudrillard or somebody like that would have a much more, interesting critique than my Friday morning rambles. But it's worth considering that, is there a vast difference? It's the whole Marshall McLuhan, the medium is a message thing and all the rest of it. But I'm not convinced that there's a world of difference between this whole thing, Anyway, let's just see what they actually say, because I think it was worth checking.
Clear, when you watched that rapper at Glastonbury chanting and leading a chant with thousands
looks like I'm in the studio,
death to the IDF, you instinctively believe...
He said it himself. He said...
Oh, no, he said it since. So you accept then that the rapper was talking about soldiers?
No. People call for the death of the Russian army all the time.
Do you believe him 100%?
Yes.
That when he said death to the IDF, he didn't mean individuals... Do you believe that?
Well, he's actually, unlike... I mean, this is the irony. Do you know what the irony is?
Well, just answer my question first.
Yes, I do.
Because new footage has emerged.
And death to every single IDF soldier out there.
Death to every single IDF soldier out there.
Yes. When he said death to the IDF, he didn't mean individuals. Did you believe that?
Well, he's actually, unlike, I mean, this is the irony. Do you know what the irony is?
Well, just answer my question first.
Yes, I do.
Because new footage has emerged.
New footage. Right, coming to you now. Death to them all.
I've known you a long time. I have a lot of respect for you. You just have to admit, when you hear that, you were wrong to defend him in the way you defended him. He didn't mean IDF.
People I was defending.
He didn't mean IDF the entity. Did it? But you accept now that you were wrong. He didn't mean that.
I didn't hear. I've only heard for the first time.
You've heard that. So what? Now you've heard that. Do you still say he only meant the entity?
Well, no. Obviously now he's made clear what he meant.
So you accept you were wrong.
Well, yeah, because I obviously.
I know. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you should have known.
Fine.
I'm just saying that I found the defence very disingenuous by everybody, and I felt what he'd done. And this has now been proven, I think. He'd gone on social media. He'd seen people coming up with this ludicrous defence that he only meant the entity. And then, and knowing what he'd said on stage, he issues a statement saying the complete opposite that he's read from people like you defending it. And now he's made all of you look like complete prunes.
Prunes, eh? Well, like, even Noisy Parker says it, you know what? So what if he did? Why is it not coming up? What's going on here? For Christ's sake. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Right, I see what... So what if he did? Aye. Exactly, that's my point. I don't think it matters that he said it, and that if he did mean every single IDF soldier either under the circumstances. So basically the establishment are trying to make out that you shouldn't wish death upon Nazis, right? This is the new line. This is the new establishment line, right? You can't wish death on Nazis, right? Because you might upset the Nazis. So the Nazis, there's serious estimates now. When is Jones presented with his gotcha trophy? What a pointless fucking debate. Violin have killed no one. I have to agree with Sharpie there. Right, some people might think it's wrong of me to attack Owen Jones, right? But Owen Jones has been a cheeky fucking cunt to me, right? So there's the answer. And I don't have any reason to particularly be excited about Owen Jones. On the other hand, I suggested, our teams to be, Piers Morgan, geopolitics, a genocide, to Edinburgh City Council bragging about the fact that they've sent somebody to pick up some rubbish, like, you know, this is the state of the council. They shouldn't need to tweet some like social media, like, you know, well done, great work, guys. Yeah, our street teams have been cleaning up the streets. Fucking hell. What? This is where we reached. Today a bin was emptied. Well done. Anyway, Jones annoys me for a lot of reasons. But oh look, here's Rona saying tune in. Thanks, Rona. Tune in. Aye. So this, where's my thing that I said? So I think that we should start a petition. Because I'm sick of Owen Jones, right? Because Owen Jones can't contribute. Owen Jones was against Corbyn, right? Now at the time, Corbyn's up. I will get on to Corbyn in a minute, right? But Owen Jones is just a talking liberal left commentariat bore, you know. There's nothing that Owen Jones can say that anybody needs to hear anymore, right? On the other hand, David Jamieson, Big Davey. Why does David Jamieson not follow me? Maybe he doesn't like me. I don't really care, because I like him, because I think he's a good commentator and a good writer, great writer. I would like to see David Jamieson sitting where Owen Jones is right now, because Jamieson wouldn't have condemned violence. Jamieson would have argued why it was a legitimate and still is a legitimate thing to say. We cannot have a situation where sections of the bourgeois establishment or the media establishment or otherwise, opportunistic parasites like Piers Morgan, are going to try to normalise the idea that you shouldn't wish death on a marauding, genocidal, infanticidal, fucking psychotic array of bastards, right? So, I'm retweeting this post, right? And you can retweet this post if you want as well. That's up to you, eh? That's what free will is. But if you don't retweet my post saying that you think David Jamieson should be sat where Owen Jones is, because if they're going to engage with the mainstream, like I have an argument. There's a part of me is like, I don't think people should really engage with a lot of these mediums because they don't allow, for want of a better term, freedom of speech. They don't allow an effective opposition on any particular matter, really. But if we are going to have people from the left, if you like, or the anti-war people or whatnot, if we are going to have such types engaging with people like Morgan, I would like David Jamieson to go there. Because Jamieson is not going to just crumble like that, right? Jamieson wouldn't crumble like that, and if he did, I would want my money. I would be disappointed because I'd put money on him no crumbling. But how can we know? How can we know unless somebody like Jamieson gets the opportunity to go and chat in those circumstances? Is it an opportunity though? That's another question again. I don't know. But to be honest, if we are going to have people there, let's have somebody like David Jamieson in there. So that's the first thing I wanted to say this morning. It's only took me 26 minutes to get round to it. Here's an interesting message in X from John McFadden, who has gone abroad. So I don't see, what's his name? Is it No from Hong Kong? He's not here today. But John McFadden's in Cape Verde. 50th anniversary of their independence from Portugal tomorrow. Wasn't late? It's not the best signal. John's up the top of a mountain with an aerial, with a coat hanger, trying to get what the X. No bother. VHS repair. Good morning to you, Arpignon. Good morning to you. Right, so there's the first thing covered that I wanted to cover. Right, let's get the campaign to get David Jamieson on Piers Morgan started today. It starts today, right? There's a wee heartwarming moment from Hibs here. We won't watch this. Hold on, if I watch it, I have to put this on. Okay. Right. Skip for now. This should work.
Before we do all that, I've been told to give you this.
Right, so Pat Stanton tells Pat Stanton to come to the stadium.
I've been told to pass it on for you.
And he gives him a letter.
They're approaching over 600 times for the club, featuring in many memorable matches, including those European victories over Napoli and Sporting Lisbon. And of course, the role you played in the 7-0 game over Hearts on New Year's Day, 1973. Nobody embodies the value of the club more than you, and your contribution on and off the pitch to Hibernian and Scottish football is evidence for all to see. You captained us in our centenary year. Now it's our pleasure to permanently recognise your contribution to the club on our 150th anniversary. It is It's with great pride to inform you that the stand you're currently sitting in, the East Stand, will be renamed the Pat Stanton Stand in your honour. The Pat Stanton Stand will serve as a lasting tribute to your achievements and will ensure that your legacy continues to inspire future players and fans for many years to come. On behalf of everyone associated with the club, the fans, the board, the staff, the players, the entire Hibernian family, thank you for everything, Pat. Ian Gordon, Chairman. Well, being a Hibs supporter, that's really something, that.
How does that make you feel?
That makes me feel great. Like, I wish my dad was here. He'd be quite pleased, putting it mildly. Doesn't happen to everybody.
Right. There's your wee morning tearjerker. I have to admit, when I seen that, I was a wee bit welled up. And he goes, "Oh, which my old man is that?" You know, what an amazing guy, and a great decision by Hibs, to be honest. You know, if the stand should be named after anybody, who else could you want it to be? The Pat Stanton? But that, you know, it was a bit of a timeline cleanse that yesterday when I seen that. You know, so that was a nice wee thing. In a world of grimness, these small little nice moments, we have to take them, right? Anyway, back to the moment in hand. So we'll get on to the main event, which is what happened with Palestine Action. Reginald D. Hunter, who is a funny guy, Reginald D. Hunter, right? He's, you know, decent comedian guy. He's facing some kickback for saying fuck all. So he's trying to raise money for legal costs. And Twitch has announced that he's got a brain tumour that's inoperable, which is very sad news indeed. Right, Jamie Fitzpatrick called out this guy, who I've been calling out for a long time, because he's a complete public parasite fraud. Sharpie says, so lovely when people are honoured like this whilst they're still living. Very good point. Very good point. Especially now we've got social media, we get to capture those moments. I'm no high B, but this is heartwarming. You're a dandy Don, if I'm right in saying. Is that right, Sharpie? Sunflower and Leaf, absolute gentleman is Pat Stanton. Definitely. Very much the case. So, waiting for Beetle to appear. So Stephen Flynn, who I genuinely dislike Stephen Flynn, because he's the kind of archetypal parasitic political class performative mofo, you know, who likes to make out, you know, he's the archetype of the contemporary political class, you know. And I think to be honest, the genocide is the exposure of all things, right? Whether it's the culture, whether it's politics, it doesn't really matter. How you engage with the genocide and in what form you engage with the genocide, if you are going to engage with the genocide, it will tell us an awful lot about you. There's a strong argument. There's no obligation, and as far as I'm concerned, you know, people would like say silence is complicity. I think that depends on who you are and what you do. Many people, it's too traumatizing, it's too difficult, and they've got to just do what they can do. Fine, I don't have any issue with that. People have to manage this stuff in their own form. But if you're in the public domain in some capacity, then you have a responsibility potentially. For example, if you are a member of the political class and you are apparently oppositional to the genocide, then this should be something that is very clear in your identity, as far as I'm concerned. This should be a very defining aspect to your public politics. And I am I wouldn't say concerned, I'm very sceptical and cynical towards how large sections of the political class choose to pick up and put down the issue of Palestine as and when it suits them. And Flynn and Swinney in the SNP are completely culpable of this. And the reason why I think it's worth observing, and the reason why I think it's worth talking about, is because the longer this horror continues, the more vulgar it looks, in my opinion. And it's not just a question of vulgarity, it's more serious than that, but it really exposes these people. Now, as much as I'm incredibly dismissive and cynical about politics in general, and specifically party politics, even in Westminster and even, across the political spectrum, there are a number of parliamentarians and whatnot who have made it clear, that this is the fundamental issue, because it is the fundamental issue. When innocent human beings are being murdered indiscriminately, especially with the assistance and complicity of our own government and so-called progressive countries and progressive societies. Obviously this is an affront, but the fact is that if this is an issue and this is the most serious issue, then it has to inform, I would imagine, your daily political expression. And Flynn and Swinney and a number of others, they just pick it up and put it down when it suits them. And so Flynn has put a clip up here of a tragic issue, perhaps from the Channel 4 documentary that was aired. And Flynn says, every parent will recognise the bike at the start of this clip. It's the one we teach our bairns to ride on. It's the one we carry when their little legs get tired. Look at what our allies do to those bikes in Gaza. I mean, for a start, it's a bit of a bizarre, it's focusing on the injury to the bike seems a bit peculiar in itself, but we'll let that pass. But Jamie Fitzpatrick kind of crystallises how I feel and how most people probably feel who are paying attention. Sorry, mate, why the fuck are you sharing this like you just didn't abstain from the Palestine action vote? You filthy fucking rat. And I think that's a reasonable tweet to like and retweet, and I would encourage anybody on the platform previously known as Twitter to do the same. Honestly, you are such a disgusting liar, and I couldn't agree more with Jamie there. It's time that people really made a decision about what they're doing politically. All the information is kind of there. If you participate in party politics, and it's not some kind of avowed anti-war socialist party, then you might want to have a word with yourself, to be honest, and question your very faculties, your fundamental faculties. Let's go back to my bookmarks. But Flynn, yes. So again, this is the SNP's PR wing to deflect from their abstaining on the Palestine action vote. They immediately started attacking the Labour Party on their PR comms. I don't know who. I mean, 223 accounts have liked this. Most of them, presumably, are probably SNP accounts or whatnot. I don't know how anybody can participate in this pantomime any longer. I've said it many times, and I really mean it. You know, it's a kind of declaration of ignorance if you still participate in contemporary party politics. People need to consider alternative approaches, but then we've got another option on the horizon now, apparently, because there's a new party about to start, which will address. Noisy Parker ignores the systemic destruction of the healthcare service in Gaza in that documentary. Thoughts and prayers for the bikes. Quite. We'll get on to the new party concept shortly. I'll be back just after this commercial break. Didn't go anywhere, eh?
Yous all want to do a favour, see when Fizz in Edinburgh, right? Big fucking pavements, so yous all want to step out the way and stop fucking hogging the pavements.
Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF!
The reason that most phones don't have batteries anymore is because the battery makes it to where you can shut off the phone. They don't want the ability to shut off the phone from the user because it is a continual recording device. Even when it appears to be off, it is still recording. It records every word you say, and you can say certain trigger words that will place you into a different category of person. It monitors every single thing you do, from every word that you say, all the way to the places you go, how much money you spend, how long you spend on websites, or whatever. They know all your preferences down to a T, beyond your comprehension. They know what type of woman turns you on. They know what type of food you want to eat. They know how much you're willing to spend on things. Using this algorithm, they basically place you in categories of the most docile and the least of a threat, all the way to the most free thinking and the highest threat, because the highest threat possible is somebody who thinks freely, because you'll see through all of the illusions. So with every individual person, they have different ads and different algorithms for your reels and all of your different things that will hit you in the hardest possible place. They want to, they can't destroy you, so they want to slow your progression as much as possible. So to slow your progression, they use this algorithmic knowledge of your particular algorithm to give you the most seductive, the most whatever is your weak point, they're going to hit that with you through subtleties. Because even as people are uploading videos by the millions per day on all of these platforms of their reels and everything, every time something's uploaded or downloaded, its AI goes through it and is able to know everything about the video from all of the cues, and it puts all of the videos into categories, just as it puts all the humans into categories. So you as an individual have your own personal spiritual attacks via social media. It is the ultimate spiritual attack machine, where it is hitting all of your vulnerabilities. So the most rebellious thing that you could possibly do to this system that is trying to just destroy you and your children and everyone you love, the most rebellious thing you could do is think freely.
Right. It's 10:44. Craig Murray. Good morning. It's 6:30 a.m. and I am off to the High Court to be certain I get in for the Palestine Action hearing. Extraordinary how much of my life is spent in courts watching people. Extraordinary how much of my life is spent in courts watching people attempt to fight back against encroaching fascism. Murray was upset, wasn't he, because he didn't get the Alba candidacy, and he seemed to be getting all in a tiz about that. And I have to say, when it comes to Craig Murray, I'm a bit conflicted. I'm sure I've said this before. Like, I've met Craig Murray and I like him. He seems like an affable chap or whatnot, you know. But he kind of got a bit pissy, didn't he? He got quite annoyed that he didn't get the Alba candidacy, which I don't know how beneficial that is for Alba or him, to be honest. You know, getting it or not getting it, to be honest. But Murray's a sort of strange character, you know. I think he's a bit prone, you know, being diplomatic about it, I think he's a bit prone to elaboration, right? And there's a few things about Murray that I've always found really quite fascinating, both about him as an individual, but also that whole section of the Scottish nationalist kind of, you know, the ardent, the partisans, the yesers, they hold him in great esteem. And I've often made this kind of sort of, you know, sort of slightly mischievous observation that it's like, the reason that they afford him such reverence is because he was the ambassador. He was an ambassador for Uzbekistan or something for the British state. So he filled his pockets for a long time on you know, touting the imperialist line, you know. And this is why, and I always find this strange, this sort of psychological thing that goes on with the independents, that sort of like inculcated deference or something, where, you know, they're like, oh, he's a very learned man, he's a very important man, you know, because he was given sort of an important position, presumably in the British establishment in some shape or form, and this is why they respect him. So I've never really got my head around that. I've never quite grasped why that's why he needs to be given so much respect. But I mean, okay, so he's an intelligent guy, but I think he's a bit prone to sort of exaggeration as well, you know, and fiction. And for a while, I used to sort of compare him a bit. He's a sort of Jeffrey Archer character, you know, a bit more of a sort of benign Jeffrey Archer. But lately, I've been sort of thinking he's a bit more like Alan Wicker. Like, you know, he's a sort of like, you know, he's sort of like flaneurs around and goes to different places and kind of like gives us his dispatches, you know. And Belgium Scars is exactly the point I'm making. He was given credibility because he used to work for the very state we're trying to leave. And this is this is a kind of key factor of somebody like Murray, you know. Indie Scott News reposted the stream. Thank you, Indie Scott News. So that's one aspect about Craig Murray. But the whole thing about Craig Murray is this, right? It's like, I think Craig Murray should recognise his position as a kind of, you know, a commentator or a journalist. I've said this before. I said it to Craig when I met him, that I didn't think it was right that he went to jail for what he did. People might argue otherwise, perjury is perjury or whatever, but I don't think he really should have gone to jail. Beldam says, full of his own importance, which hey, it's hardly a unique criticism, right? But no, in fairness, hold on, where's my... He is full of. He is a bit sort of pompous in that sense. However, I think Craig should recognise that, you know, he's well. People follow him. You know, people really like him. They like his writing. And in fairness to him, you know, he does go around places and he does try to raise attention to various issues and stuff. So he gets a pass, right? He gets a pass. But I think that when it comes to actual politics, we need class politics. And really, if there's somebody that should get nominated for an Alba candidacy, if it's a seat that's worthy of actually trying to fight for, let's get a working class candidate in there. Let's get a working class candidate with class politics, if it's going to be the Alba Party or whoever you are, you know? See if you've got class politics. I mean, I struggle a bit with political parties, I have to say. But here we've got a Craig fan. I like it when Martin Laird here. Martin's probably watched every What the X, and all of a sudden he's sprung into action. He's like, ah, what's this? I shall defend you, Craig. Fair play, right? What Martin says. Few people have demonstrated as much courage and integrity as Craig Murray. Okay, is that true? I think there's maybe some truth to the courage. He had to go to jail. Nobody wants to go to jail, and so he went up against the system there, and they taught him a lesson. They said, we'll show you, you fucking idiot, what you did. And he came up against it. But it's also true to say that he can be, for want of a better term, a bit of a slaver. But you know, he's not alone, is he? He's not alone. We can all be guilty of slavering. Especially early in the morning. So let's get on to. Thanks for that. Why did you not tell me? I turned it up. I'll turn it down a notch. How's that? Bob, you need to turn the music down a notch. Right, I've turned it down. See, I need you to be my reference monitors. The National are now policing culture. They sent people down to some concert to decide whether or not it was acceptable for people to go to a concert or not. All right, Bob finally caught the live stream. Greetings from sunny Wuhan, Robbie Lyle. A very good man is Robbie Lyle. I hope your back has healed. Robbie had a bad back injury, and I think he was confined to a bed or something, and then some kind of apparatus that he had to wear. So I hope your back's on the mend. Right, so this was an interesting thing that I saw, and I thought I'm going to actually just try to cover this very briefly. This guy, so basically Zara Sultana, is that actually her name, Zara Sultana? I didn't know that. I thought it was Sultana, I don't know, Sultana or something, right? So the word is that she has resigned from the Labour Party, and she's going to start a new party with Jeremy Corbyn. Here comes Miguel Oliver with. I'm going to bring Miguel's message up. An always wise take from Miguel. I quite like Craig Murray. His motives seem generally selfless. He's a toff, therefore struggles to move between our world and the one he generally inhabits. But he does his best, in my opinion. I think that's a pragmatic and agreeable position. I would actually, I will agree with Miguel there. I think that's a fair comment. It's kind of like this, right? George Galloway is mental, right? Can be a blowhard, a hypocrite. There's innumerable things that you can accuse George Galloway of. He's almost certainly culpable of. But George Galloway also has very principled positions on imperialism and issues on Palestine and whatnot. So in this landscape, beggars can't be choosers, if you like, or whatnot. And I think so we have to sort of recognise who we have to recognise maybe has some cultural capital, even if they're odd in other areas or not compatible with our views in certain places. We have to make compromises, I think, at present. So maybe there's some truth in that as well. Anyway, is the music not too quiet now? I don't know. Sky Blue. Galloway in the Senate was electric. It was a historical moment in public relation, wasn't it? It was you couldn't not be inspired. I mean, it must be, what is it? It must be 20 odd years ago. More than that, is it like 25 years ago or something? Not far off it, I would have thought. But it was a very enjoyable moment, that has to be said. The music is too quiet now, right? Well, sorry about that. Fucking now it's too quiet, eh? Right. That's good now, is it? Right, well, I moved it again. Right, Craig Murray's getting a What the X pass. Galloway is in it for Galloway. This is where it becomes a wee bit complicated. It's kind of what I'm saying, VHS Repair. It's kind of the point, isn't it? It's like, yes, it's undeniable, that's undeniable. But also not, because it's that thing of going like, well, has Galloway... Like Galloway has a degree of political clout. He's got a party. Have they got anybody in any councils anywhere or parliament? He's not like just a complete fringe show individual, For example, is Nigel Farage in Reform a more legitimate incarnation politically than Galloway and the Workers' Party? You would have to consider that the Workers' Party, even in whatever form, as a provocation or as a pressure group or otherwise, they're more likely to have a type of politics that I would probably be more inclined to gravitate towards. But then again, it's a question, yeah, but it's like the caveat, but it's heart's in the right place. We're all kind of saying the same. I think we're all trying desperately to say the same thing, really. The reason I thought this guy here's tweet was interesting, right, is because this is a sort of more on a personal note, right? So I don't know who this guy is. Alistair Mellon, SDP, right? And when I sort of read through his little tweet thread, I think it was this morning, and I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. I thought I'm going to maybe mention that on What the X for the reasons that I'll attempt to explain now. So he says, last summer, I put my life on hold for 6 weeks to stand against Zara Sultana in my hometown of Coventry for the Social Democratic Party. I was one of 122 SDB candidates, and I received 334 votes. What on earth was I thinking? My rationale was the quality of our MPs had deteriorated dramatically since the days when Labour and Conservatives could field political giants like Dennis Healey. I should be reading it in this voice. My rationale was the quality of our MPs had deteriorated dramatically since the days when Labour and Conservatives could field political giants like Dennis Healey, Beachmaster at Anzio, or Erin Eve, escaped from Colditz, and prosecutor at Nuremberg. We simply needed better people. We need chaps that escaped from. We need folk that escaped from Colditz. Some guy that took on the cherries, like, you know. The deterioration to me was personified by Zara Sultana. Why? Because she was brown. Is that what we're getting to here? You know? Well, I don't know. Her student brand of politics is widely recognised, but I wanted to highlight her failure to represent Coventry South and show what a real MP can do for their constituents. And I wanted to highlight issues she had ignored. I'm a chartered civil engineer, a successful property developer. Yeah, you just sound exactly like the sort of MP that we need. Like you're going to be a world of difference from what we've already got in the landlord class, like, you know. An angel investor with interests in a series of thriving startup businesses in tech, healthcare. Man, it's just a fucking self-publicity drive, isn't it, really, to be honest. I've built railways, factories, refugee centres in Bosnia. Is that for folk that are getting exported back from here? And skyscrapers in London and the UAE. My wife was 12 weeks pregnant and I had to self-fund my campaign, as the SDP is itself a startup, albeit one that has doubled in size every year for the last 6 years. So in May 2024, I rented a room in an empty student accommodation block in Coventry for 40 days and 40 nights. In the next month and a half, I campaigned 14 hours a day, mostly alone, but in time with a small but growing band of new SDP members. We started the campaign with no members in Coventry and now regularly get 12 good men and women at our monthly meetings. Campaigns are galvanising. Right, anyway, you get the gist, right? But he'd do well in politics, exactly. The reason I thought it was interesting is because this guy was talking about the huge personal sacrifice that he took to take on this idea of running for Parliament against a candidate or otherwise. And he got 334 votes. And he basically, was going on about how much of a taxing experience it was, and etc., etc. A lot of folk like to sort of get quite wide of me online when I have my sort of general jousts with people from the school of detractors. It's like, I ran against Robertson, right, and I pretty much had to graft on my jack doing that, right. And I got 363 votes. And I know it's comparative, but it's the whole question of like an independent candidate or a minor party candidate against an established individual or established candidate or whatnot. It's incomparable. There's a world of difference. But I thought it was interesting that I had actually achieved more votes than this guy, and he was going for Westminster with a bigger constituency and whatnot, you know. So as much as I think he's a bit of a teapot, I did actually relate, and I also understood when he was talking, basically going like, it is a massively, it does take a lot out of you, and a lot of the folk who get wide of me and stuff, they didn't really have a Scooby about what they're talking about. They've basically not got a Scooby. That's basically what I wanted to say. You suddenly got a Scooby, eh? And this guy, he might be a bit of a twat. This guy's built skyscrapers and refugee centres, and he was going on about how hard work it was, right? So maybe that's what I was trying to get across. A bunch of notifications. Scott News. To be fair to Craig, he sacrificed that diplomatic career you mentioned to whistleblow the UK state's involvement in torture in Uzbekistan. The powers that be went on to destroy his career and reputation. Is that entirely correct? I'll reserve judgment. I think we've decided we've gave Craig a pass. I like this guy, I like this account, Sir Norman of Nowhere. I think he's a disabled guy, but he's a good account. He's got good views. I would advocate following Sir Norman. We were explicitly told by the government when they introduced the Terrorism Act that it wouldn't be used against peaceful direct action. The courts need to take into account the spirit of law when it was passed. We are all Palestine action. I'm down with that. Although I think it's interesting, they seem to have potentially renamed themselves Yvette Cooper, which is pretty funny. Vambo Rescue says, common vibe with Galloway, Craig and this STP dude is their egos and their universe are the same size, yeah. His book was good. Craig, but he's a bit, well, for want of a better term, he's a bit of a shagger, isn't he? Like, or he was. I know he's a happily married man or whatever, but there was a brilliant excerpt going around. Do you mind that excerpt from his book where he was it was like a James Bond scene or something, like, you know? I think Cat Boyd or somebody sent me that one time. It was an absolute classic. Right. There's a few other wee things I wanted to touch on. Bookmarks. Did I bookmark it? What is that? Oh, that's mental. So yeah, I guess that's the thing then. So let's have a look at this new party. Yvette Cooper is trending. Is that because of Palestine Action? New direct action group, Yvette Cooper. Fair play. Launches amid her efforts to ban Palestine Action. He was like a fox in the henhouse in Uzbekistan. I'm sure there was something that I wanted to mention there and it slipped my mind, as ever. Let's see about this Corbyn party then. Has anybody got any thoughts on the Corbyn party? Oh yeah, that's what it was. David Miller, who I think is great. David Miller's our foremost thinker on Zionism, really, to be honest. He's somebody that people should pay more attention to, in my opinion. So this was this Eye Up Lovely. Jeremy Corbyn is a socialist. If you think as he does, you are a socialist. There is no need for a distraction, and the term Corbynism was a media invention intended derisively to suggest his supporters were in a personality cult. I agree with David Miller on this and not this account, this Eye Up Lovely. Miller says Jeremy Corbyn is a liberal, a Zionist and a coward who, despite being buoyed by the most popular mass political movement in recent British history, threw it all away to the Zionist movement rather than stand and fight, betraying all his comrades and ensuring certain defeat. He is the last man in the land fit to lead a new socialist party. No lessons have been learned I sadly agree with David Miller on this. I think Corbyn's had his time. I don't think Corbyn is a particularly effective leader. He's not a good speaker, and he's not prepared to roll up his sleeves and land a few punches, like, you know, if he could at all. Can he even throw a punch? I don't think that this new party that this Zara and Corbyn are going to set up is going to be anything other than the Novara Media party, basically. It's a sort of liberal pressure group, at best, another liberal pressure group. I'm not sure I agree with David to the extent that he is a Zionist, but I can understand why he would say that. Because he's essentially saying that he acquiesced to the Zionist lobby and buckled, which he did because we watched all that happen. See, the thing about Corbyn, you know, like Corbyn was never meant to be. I mean, I made that crazy film about Corbyn in 2017. Such was and I kind of made that film because this was somebody that was being subject to such ridiculous and vicious attacks. But we've got that sort of collective amnesia thing, you know, where we sort of forget, you know, what's actually just happened just a short time ago, you know, just even within the last decade. Corbyn is is a liberal, really. I suppose that's correct to say that, you know. But he has socialist values, and I think that's also important to recognise. But the sort of like the defenestration of Jeremy Corbyn is the kind of marker point of where clearly we could see how captured our British polity, the entire media class and the political class are by both the Zionist lobby and also you know, the threat that any sort of redistributive ideas have to the capitalist establishment. So Corbyn trying to revive something there is not a great and inspiring position for me personally, because as David rightly states, you know, he kind of failed. He failed against that machine. So anybody that is going to try to do something genuinely populist or interesting in terms of what we want to try to do to try to attack this essentially right and fascist state in many respects, and captured, you know, captured political class, it must be anti-Zionist. It has to be. The genocide is the crime of the century. The British state-backed genocide is the crime of the century. It's utterly abhorrent. It's beyond disgusting. It should haunt anyone with a conscience. Any human being should be disturbed by this on a constant basis. But we need more powerful leaders than Corbyn. We need people that are able to really hold it down and take these bastards on, and I don't think that Corbyn is the person for that at all, and I don't believe that any party there, despite it going to be appealing to a large section of well-meaning people, I don't think it's going to have the teeth or the punch required to be effective. But what do you think? Something I noticed I wanted to make a point about. Donald Turville has joined in the criticism of the council. Second time posting this. Well, there's reasons for this as well. You know, we've got to remember who the council is run by now. It's a CGI group, isn't it? This was probably posted from a centralised office in Yorkshire or something. Second time posting this in 24 hours. Isn't this sort of thing the bare minimum you'd expect from a council? Without being negative, clearing literal garbage off the street shouldn't be a cause for a fanfare. Are you watching, son? You hiding there in the shadows. So that's something. Now, you know this guy. I just wanted to I thought I'm going to mention it. This guy that always pops up on my feed. He's not on my feed now, but this guy that I'm up there. He's there actually. Wings over Scotland, right? I noticed that it suggests tweets, right? And I noticed. And I kind of thought, is this guy, is it still there? He posts a load of shite, eh? And he's basically a shit poster. And that was what I was thinking, like, this guy is essentially just a sort of content farming shit poster. But he posted this, he reposted this, right? And I thought, this is interesting because, we're in this kind of time of possibly... No, Clive Lewis is terrible. Somebody's saying, advising Clive Lewis. I'm not a fan of Clive Lewis at all. But we'll come back to that another day. See this Wings guy, right? Everybody's sort of, oh, you don't understand. He's a great contract. Listen, right? See this thing that he's posted that he thinks is funny, right? This is a guy that's apparently like pro-women's rights. And he's apparently pro-women, right? And pro the right kind of feminism. This is a fucking racist tweet, right? This is a racist tweet and it's a misogynistic tweet, right? Now, I'm never really one to get right on the fucking drum, banging the drum about, oh, fucking this and that. Oh, it's just a joke and that. It's not funny about this. This is just normalising the most basic form of racism, right? So this is this tweet. It's Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then it's Whoopi Goldberg and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she says, "So we meet again, old friend." So the inference is that the Predator is like, oh, this is where. So let's just like, what would it be? You know, it doesn't take. It's not. You don't need rocket science to look at the inference here, right? So it's like, so she's simultaneously she's an ugly alien. And it's got dreadlocks. So Whoopi Goldberg's got dreadlocks, right? So she's a black woman with dreadlocks, right? So the Predator's got dreadlocks. So what if it was like so any black person with dreadlocks is also like supposed to be the Predator? Is that the whole thing? Or is ugly? It's an ugly alien. What is the inference that she's an ugly person as well, right? So she's an ugly black woman with dreadlocks, who is to be compared to an alien, the Predator, right? So it's basically, this is the joke? Is this apparently the joke? This is funny. This is supposed to be funny. This is just pure basic, the most repugnant, fucking basic, insidious type of racism. I can't stand anything like that, right? And it's things like that. It's those kind of like, it's just a joke kind of shit, you know, like puerile nonsense. It's like, that's puerile fucking racist shit, right? And if you think that you're intelligent and you're going to put that on your page and go, this is funny, at the same time, I'm fucking some figure that's like got strong moral values. It's like, this person is a fucking tool, right? And anybody who continues to engage with that person and also at the same time wants to present himself as having some legitimate political position at a time where we're basically staring at a sort of fascism, a sort of quasi-bizarre, deeply fucking pernicious fascism in the whole of our fucking society and culture and authoritarianism, and you've got this shit posting arse piece putting stuff like this up. It's like, fine mate, put that stuff up there, but then you get on your moral high horse and start telling us that you've got like women's rights at the core of your philosophy or otherwise, or your principles. You're not a principle. Why would you put something like that on your page? You know, you tell me, what do you think? To me, I think something like that is just repugnant, you know? But that's just my opinion. I thought I might as well mention it, you know what I mean? He's just a fucking arsehole, that's what he is. Right. The man is a slug. That's a decent thing to say. Nah, man, I really didn't like things like that. I really didn't like snidey, like, racist stuff like that, you know? Not into that at all. We're drawing to a close. Because we have to. Because I've got other things to get on with today. Right, listen. It's not racist or misogynistic. Right, well, explain what it is then, right? What is it? Email Antonovsky, right? It's not racist or misogynistic, is it? Are you saying that it's just a funny joke because it's like the Predator and it's got dreadlocks and that, and it's like and it looks like Whoopi Goldberg? Is that what it is? It's just an innocent jape. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Just to take it in that fashion? Am I just being a liberal reactionary now? You know? Am I basically being a sort of vampire castle cat? Is that what's going on here? Is it me? Am I just being reactionary? I don't think so. Nah, any takers? Well, is that your answer? First, right, you've told me, right, hold on. Maybe what? This is you. You want to come out. You said it's not racist. Where's this thing? It's not racist or misogynistic. Right, explain how it's not. I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait on why it's not racist or misogynistic. I mean, I'm never really want to get like, you know, well, I'm not some sort of like, oh, I'm a feminist and that. I'm not a fucking feminist. I'm a chauvinist. I bet, I don't know, maybe I am, I don't know. But, you know, come on, email Antonovsky. Why is it not racist or misogynistic? Sorry, have I missed something then? Have you? Read the last part of what I said. I don't ken what you said. Maybe here's right enough. Maybe if it's me that's confused, that's maybe I'm reading too much in it. I don't care. I just think I tend to think things like that are aren't that funny. Purchased new one from Gutter Blood and cranked up in the shop now. Well, what can we say? There we go, just in time. Actually, here's the promo from this morning. He never did proper journalism. This fucking what he's become doesn't deserve. Well, what he tried to say that he was always an opportunist, right? He was nothing other than and credit to him, he did well out of that. But anybody that is trying to tell me that he was never only ever an opportunist, no chance. No chance. Anyway, the Gutter Blood promo and single is there, so I'll repost that again. Right. I'm going to leave you all. He's one of the worst cunts out there. He's an absolute... He's such a fucking pussyhole as well, do you know what I mean? Just like cowering away in his wee basement and miles away, you know what I mean? He's always going on about foreign interference. Like he's definitely... one could only speculate on what his motivations are on certain factors. I mean, he has an irrelevance, really, in most respects. And all that in plain sight with his sexual fetish, that's quite funny as well, in a weird way, do you know what I mean? He obviously cracks them out all the time over the trans, like, you know. Anyway, it's what's happening this weekend. Kelburn is on this weekend. A whole bunch of people will be down at Kelburn. I'm going with Daddy Scotty down to Kelburn actually. Here, we're going to release this shortly. I'll put this we're working on this. One wee second.
None of them boy they can't get in on me head. None of them boy they can't get in on me head. Say me light like feather but me heavy like lead. Me light like feather but me heavy like lead. Before you open up your mouth you better think with your head. Because the wrong thing said they coulda caused bloodshed. Me no want to see no innocent man end up dead. Time to put the war thing to bed. Peace talk. I just rumor them a spread. Talk, talk, talk. Make them go and talk. I just rumor them a spread.
Step on sidewalk. Where them there when me a push and cut. I pick up buckle me step on sidewalk. Where them there when me a hustle on street. Where them there when me a walk bare feet. Where them there when me a pimp tourist. American, English. Where them there when me a catch Jenga. Where them there when me a smuggle ganja. Where them there when me a dive down a walk. I swim amongst paracuta and all shark. Talk, talk, talk. Make them go and talk. I just rumor them a spread. Talk, talk, talk. Make them go and talk. I just rumor them a spread.
The voice of the one, Don Carlos.
Right, sorry, I have returned, but I'm going away again. So, banger, yeah, we'll have that. It will be the next single that we'll get out with Scotty. A wee glimpse behind the scenes there. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining me all again this morning. Patella Public, Free Palestine. Even if she has, you can't compare to an evil, murderous alien. Yeah, look, it's just, listen, let's be honest, right? It's always the first thing, it's like black folks start getting it tight, and it's always done in that really sort of in plain sight, sort of insidious way. It's just like, get to fuck, man, you know what I mean? It boils my piss. I don't know, I need to have my breakfast. I've had my breakfast. Thanks for joining us all this morning. I'm going to leave us with a great track by the Kelburn's on this weekend, I think, or Twistettes down there, Gyro Babies are on Saturday night. And Scotty's with Hometown Sound System on Sunday, so if you're at Kelburn, you can check out Scotty on the Hometown Sound System, and they've got their full roster of artists and associates there as well, so I'm sure that'll be brilliant. Have a great weekend. This is Bounce Bounce Baby by the Twistettes. Take it easy, folks. Ciao.